Dr. Jazz.
But great, thanks for taking the time, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, my pleasure.
I've started to follow you since The Arrival came out. I was also on Fresh Sound.
Wow, really? Wow,
Yeah,
man, thanks.
I was with the label, and then I kind of,
Oh,
bought CDs
great.
from Fresh Sound.
Yeah, that's like 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago.
Incredible, right?
Yeah, time
Yeah.
time flies.
Yeah, but I wanted to start this talk with you band leading, and what I saw on Facebook that you did
Yes.
something new with Billy Hart and John Patitucci
Yes, we just recorded in
and George
February.
Coleman.
Right, we had George for 3 tunes.
And how did you hook up with? I mean, I know you played with John before, but like, especially with Billy Hart and George, basically. I mean, what does this mean for you, like, to play with the elders? And
That's the shit to me. I mean, that's kind of what I've been into, like, since I got here to New York. That was my goal.
Yeah.
Was to meet the people that I used to listen to on records growing up. I also, through the years, I got to play with people like James Moody, with Jimmy Heath, with Hank Jones, Louis Hayes, Curtis Fuller, and many others.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's part of my goal, and to me, Billy and George are another 2 people, and 2 of those legends, that are still with us, and
Yeah.
to me, that's as close as it gets to the source, and
True.
like, touching the source.
Yeah. How was it like? I mean, when's the first time you played with Billy, actually? I mean, he's like.
With Billy, when I was in school, at New School, there was
Wow.
a friend of mine that took lessons with him. So the lessons was just playing with him. So he brought me to play. And then the following semester, I studied with Billy. And of course, studying with him was kind of like hanging out with him, and going to his house, talking about music, talking about listening to music, listening to records. And over the years, we got to play, in different. Oh, sorry, a little blurry.
Oh no.
We got to play together in a different situations, and he's always amazing. Always try to keep in touch with him.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll give him a call, and whenever I can, play with him.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
What did you record on the new one? Did you write originals or did you play standards, or?
This is actually my first album of playing just standards.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Only standards. Yeah.
What did you choose?
But
the repertoire?
So yeah, in terms of repertoire, I tried to choose like the standards that are not so often played. Like not the ones that people usually play. Try to do some more B-sides.
What are these? Let me see.
For example, this tune called Serenata by Leroy Anderson. A lot of ballads like Answer Me, My Love. What's the name of that one? Wow, I even forgot. Sometime Remind Me to Tell You. Like some very obscure songs, that most of the people don't know. Love Thy Neighbor.
How did you come to these tunes?
Because I'm just listening to a lot of music, and I'm learning tunes, and repertoire is something that's always been, very, very dear to me. Like always into it. So if I'm going to record an album of standards, I would rather not record Stella in a long Betty.
Solar
exactly. So
yeah.
So yeah, I'm always trying to look for the pretty tunes.
Quite looking forward to hear that. Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. Me too. It's gonna be out next year, I think, early next year.
Fantastic. Yeah. I wanted to ask you also about the previous one, which I know, I mean, Universos. And
Okay.
when does your love for Brazilian music begin? I mean, when did that start?
It started when I was growing up in Israel because at a certain time bossa nova was kind of popular, and there was some translations to bossa nova songs, in Hebrew, and I was always really attracted to it. And then when I was when I was like 14 or 13, a friend of mine had like a Jobim CD that really I loved. I listened to a lot.
Yeah. Did you check these Brazilian guitarists out, like Toninho Horta and Ricardo Silveira and all these guys? Or
of course, they're my friends. I played with Toninho. I played together. We recorded together.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
So yeah, I've always was into those guys. I mean, and honestly, like when I got to New York, it was a chance because here in New York we have so many great Brazilian musicians.
Sure.
It was a chance for me to get even deeper, and I'm serious about music, in a way that I always investigate. I always like to get to know some other stuff and learn about the music. So going to New York was a chance to really do that. Like really deep. And I started to become, I think, quite an expert in Brazilian music, like really getting to know the different genres, different artists.
Yeah.
There's so much.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, on that Universos, also, you wrote also, I mean, I always love your writing, your tunes, and
thank you.
How do you, what's your story when you compose? I mean, sometimes you do like Dada is like, I don't know, 10 or 9. I think it's something like that. Or many times you play
5, yeah.
5,
8, yeah.
Odd meters, and how do you compose? Do you compose on guitar or like start with
I don't really have like a specific method. Actually, this year I'm really focusing on composing. That's like my main focus. So my goal now is to compose every day. I'm composing a tune every day, at least. And there's no one way to do it. There's many different techniques that you can use. So one of them is to say, okay, now I'm going to compose odd meter. Now I'm going to compose something in 3. Now I'm going to compose something in 5. Now I'm going to compose something minor. Now I'm going to compose. You can just make some stuff up. Now I'm going to write the melody first. Now I'm going to do this. So I always try to find challenges for myself and find different ways to get me to write music.
Yeah. So
you know what I mean? To stay inspired.
Do you finish a tune always, or just write a sketch even?
Always. That's my goal. You don't, no, you're not going anywhere until it's done.
Really? Oh wow, man. Okay.
So today
Today
is May 2nd, and it's been 121 days since January 1st, and I'm proud to say that I already wrote 171 tunes.
Oh man, that's good.
So I'm 50 days ahead. Yeah, it's
Wow.
Maybe not all of them are great,
Oh sure,
but at least I'm sure something will come out. It's more of an exercise for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you. You mentioned already coming to New York, but just if I go a little bit back, we mentioned all these Brazilian guitarists, and you mentioned Jobim.
Sure.
What got you into jazz? Actually, who was what were the albums or the moments you remember that kind of you said, okay, shit, I want to do that?
Well, I was first, into rock. I was playing rock, and then slowly I started to get into fusion. And from fusion, I started to get into Scofield and Pat Metheny, and people like that. And then I started to and then I got into high school. And in high school, I had an amazing teacher that basically changed my life, and gave me a cassette. He gave me a cassette. One side was Kenny Burrell, and the other side was Grant Green.
How beautiful.
and he gave me another cassette of Wes Montgomery and George Benson. So those were like really, and Jim Hall, you know, and those guys. And then I started to really become obsessed with the discography thing, with the Blue Note recordings. And my luck was that this guy, that teacher that I had, was really, his focus and his like was on the older stuff, you know. He said like all the modern stuff is cool and all that, but first you need to check out where everything came from. Sure. And that, I think, really gave me a good base of understanding of the music, you know, and I think it really helped me also here in New York, you know, because I think it's very important, you know, for a musician to have that background. And
did you transcribe,
you know what I mean?
Solos?
A lot.
Oh, really?
Basically, the most of my work then was transcription of solos, and also learning repertoire.
Yeah.
And now also I teach a lot, you know, I teach here in school, and that's still the core of my work with my students too, is the repertoire and the language. Still the most important, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm very thankful for that teacher that I had, that really you know, put the focus on that.
Yeah, that's so important.
Yeah.
You mentioned the move to New York. Like, when did that happen, and how come
2005.
You went to study, right? Or
I went to. I mean, studying was great. It was the way for me to land, you know, into into New York, and you know, because of you're not American too, so you know that you cannot just come and stay. You need a immigration
visa,
kind of immigration visa. So the school, I was lucky because I got a good scholarship from them, and that enabled me to stay, you know, to stay in the country without being like a criminal or something like that.
Yeah. What was the first impression of New York? I mean, like when you came, like, did you go to some concerts?
Well,
the first week?
Well, before I came to New York, I was before I moved. I mean, I was there. I came for many visits. You know, I was visiting.
Oh yeah.
Many times, so I knew, but living there and actually moving to New York was quite different. You know, it's not the same as
sure.
But then when you actually do the move, it's quite different. You know, it's like you have to deal with the everyday reality. It's not like a vacation. Sure. So the beginning was pretty hard, you know, because it's always hard to move to a new place and start all over.
Yeah. Who were the first musical connections that you made, actually?
Well, some of the Israeli guys that I knew that were here were like people like Avishai Cohen, the trumpet player, and Omer Avital and Anat Cohen, some Israeli guys, and I also know Joel Fromm and Peter Bernstein. And Russell, what really helped me is that also right before I moved to New York, I got into the finals of the mock competition.
Oh,
so
really?
I actually met Russell Malone, and I met Pat Martino, who I become friendly with.
Oh.
And I met all these people, and that made me, you know a little bit, to have some people at least that I knew, you know.
Yeah.
But not a lot. The beginning was pretty lonely, and then at school I started to meet people, and then the first year happened. I got invited to do the Betty Carter Jazz Ahead program.
Oh wow! Okay.
And there I met Dr. Nathan Davis, and I met Curtis Fuller, and they introduced me to James Moody, and that's how things really started for me. You know, that's how I started to really make a connection.
How long did you play with James?
Well, I played with Moody, I guess since, I mean, I was never like like I was playing with him here and there. I was like
Yeah.
never like in his quartet, but I got to play quite a lot of gigs with him. Between 2007 and I think until he died in 2000 and, if I'm not mistaken, 12.
Oh, okay.
More or less, yeah.
That was important, yeah.
Yeah, he was great. Also, we played together a lot with the Dizzy Big Band, which was also a very important big band that I played with. A lot of great people like Slide Hampton and Jimmy Heath was there, and Frank West,
Wow.
Margaret Miller, a lot of legends. Yeah, Louis Nash.
Real old school.
It was a great experience. Yes, for me, that's, again, those were my heroes. Those were the people that that's where I come for.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. But I mentioned the arrival before, like,
yeah.
How did that happen? And the story with Jordy.
That's a very funny story. I'll tell you exactly how it happened. When we were, I think 21 or 20, we had a trio. That was a trio that worked a lot together and played all the time. And during that time, we won a competition in Israel. There was a jazz competition, and we won the first place. And the prize was to do a recording. So we did this recording, and then I become friends with Jorge Rossi because we met in Italy, and Jorge Rossi, the drummer.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I was visiting Jorge at his place in Barcelona.
Wow.
And then hey, do you want to check out my new recording? I guess I was brave enough to play my recording, and he suggested to contact the Jordi Pujol from Fresh Sound Records, and I did. And Jordi decided to release it, and that's what happens. I mean, one thing led to another.
Yeah, that was even prior coming to New York, right?
Yeah, that was
quite cool,
like
actually.
I was 21 that time.
Quite
yeah,
cool.
it's crazy. I was different place back then.
I love that record. I mean, you wrote beautiful music.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it was very honest,
stuff, and yeah,
it's crazy. I listen to it now, and it's like, first of all, like, thank you for saying that. Also, I get a lot of people like really like still into it, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It was never meant to be a record. That's why it's good, because it's like we were just recording for fun, and
then the pressure was off. Yeah, that's better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What? Sorry, 1 second.
Oh, sure, no worries.
אני באמצע. אז אני אגיד לך, השעה היא עוד 10 דקות אתה תוכל, אוקיי? Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
But Tali, I'm in the middle of an interview. I'm in the middle.
I want to see a game.
So you want to sit here and be quiet? Okay. We're gonna have we're a special guest.
A special guest.
Or not.
Or not. Too boring. Jazz.
Exactly.
Yeah. But no, Yotam, how did you since the arrival, you've done so many different records, and kind of, how do you decide where to go? Brazil that you did, that's such a killing one. And
oh man, thank you.
With all these guests, how did all these connections with, Paquito,
well, those
Roy
connections
Hargrove and all this.
Yeah, Roy Hargrove also played on 2 of my records. Yeah. That was thanks to the great John Lee, my producer. He's the guy that produced both of these records, Resonance and Brazil. He was my dear friend and big brother, and he's the one who owned the label, Jazz Legacy Productions, and he's the one who also was the artistic director of the Dizzy Gillespie big band.
Oh, okay.
So it's all thanks to him, basically.
Yeah, all these great.
I mean, honestly, we had some, artistic disagreements. Some of that probably I wouldn't do on my own, but that's how it is working with a producer. It's always like you have to make them happy also.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. But it's nice also to have an external ear, like
Oh yeah, for sure. And he's an amazing musician, bass player, is great in the studio. He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
In the studio. So it was definitely great to have him.
Yeah. Well, what about the record with basically, Joshua Redman's quartet kind of with Aaron and
how
did that begin?
Those are the people that when I first started to play gigs at Smalls, those were the people that I used to call. And Greg, I knew Greg for a long time because we played some gigs in Israel together when I was still living there. And Aaron also was a dear friend, and all of these guys, we used to play a lot of gigs at Smalls together. In the early, I guess in between 2005 to 2015, I guess.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And Resonance is almost the same guys, but just with Christian McBride on bass.
Yeah. Like how did Christian come about?
Yeah. Well, I knew Christian also from playing with him in different projects, and then John. Thanks to John Lee. John Lee
again,
was the one who got Christian to make the album.
Is it easy for you to lead bands? Especially when you.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially now when I kind of know, I know what I want,
Yeah.
I know what I need. So it's not a problem.
But when you look back, when playing when those guys came in the studio, like the big names already, how was that like for you?
All of them were very cool. Very nice, and there were no issues.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to also know what you want, know what you want to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Becoming, besides being a band leader, you became like a really, I think, such a big part of the jazz scene also. And
wow, thanks.
Playing, with Patitucci and Monty Alexander. Like, how did, especially the connection with John? I think Patitucci, you have a beautiful one. How did?
Thanks. He's also a very important person for me.
How did you guys hook up?
Well, that happens thanks to Rogerio Boccato, my friend, the percussion player. He's the one who I think I know him and John are very good friends. And John, and they wanted for many, many years to do like some sort of Brazilian project. Yeah. And John, and they were trying to find a guitar player, and Rogerio recommended me to John. And then I know that John was checking me out, like videos on YouTube and stuff like that. And and then we just started to play a lot together. We did this album together in 2017.
Yeah.
Irmãos de Fé. And then John played on my album on Future Memories. And then we did a lot of touring together, a lot of gigs. He's an amazing musician that I really enjoyed, being around.
Yeah. What about Monty Alexander? That
Monty also
must have been a fun
I played
one.
with Monty for like 5 or 6 years.
Really?
And
wow.
Yeah, I played with him. Also, this was thanks to Nathan Davis that introduced me to him, and I got to play a lot with Monty, and I learned a lot from him. Learned a lot about how to play guitar and piano together, which is always an art, I feel.
Yeah, definitely.
And I also learned a lot about reggae and about Jamaican music from him, which was great, man.
Yeah. How are all these guys as band leaders to you? Even Dave Sanborn, I guess, or Monty,
Yeah, with Sanborn, I only did one album.
It's only that studio thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we did. It's funny because we also did for that album. We did a lot of a lot of demos too.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, like the way, I mean, I guess those old school guys, the way Dave wanted to work is first to do the demos and then to record. So but basically the demos that we did were almost like as good as a record, but then he wanted to, then we went to the studio, but with Marcus Miller. And that was
Oh,
an amazing experience because Marcus is such a force, you know,
yeah.
as a producer and as a bass player. He's just got probably more years of experience in the studio than years of life that I have, you know.
Yeah,
So there's always a lot to be learned from him.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. What about you mentioned the new album
Yeah.
coming up, and for the remainder of the year, what are the plans for you, like gig wise? Are you coming to Europe, by the way, for some touring also, or?
I would love to. Right now, I don't have anything booked, unfortunately. I'm working on it. I did a lot of tours in Europe in like the last 5 years, and I just got a little tired from like, you know, doing all the business work and all the booking, and I kind of got tired. I just want to.
That's heavy.
After COVID, I just enjoy also just being home, you know.
Yeah.
Be with my family. So, I mean, that being said, this summer I was a lot in Europe, but I hope so. I would like to. I would love to get an invitation.
Yeah. When was the first time you went on a jazz tour, actually? Like when did that happen?
That happened well when we had the first album with Fresh Sound.
Yeah.
Then we got invited to do some tours in Spain. That was fun with that trio.
Was it like you imagined? You know, like when you're younger, it's like, you know.
I don't think I even imagined. Yeah, I just,
Okay.
you know, we came and had a great time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very special.
Nice. But for the reminder of the year, do you have some projects coming up otherwise? Like,
yeah, I have
be
some
part of,
stuff
or?
coming up. I'm playing here in New York a lot, and I'm playing in Japan in
Oh, really?
August. I'm going to Japan almost every year. Yeah.
With your project, or?
I'm part of a group that is Seiko Jazz Camp. It's like a jazz camp, but also we kind of perform the teachers. So it's a lot of great musicians, Rodney Whitaker and Takeshi Kobayashi and Benny Banak and Mike Dees, a lot of really good musicians. We go there every year. We've been doing it for 7 years.
Wow.
And yeah, just doing some stuff here and there, you know. Mostly working on composing this year. That's my main goal.
Yeah, beautiful.
My main focus. Yeah, thanks.
Fantastic. Cool, man. Great. I will not take more of your time, Yotam, since
No, I mean, it's totally cool. Whatever you need.
Because your kid is sick, so then
he's okay. Yeah.
I feel bad then otherwise, but
no, if there's anything else you want to ask, feel free.
No, I think that we covered mostly, like, you know,
we got some good stuff.
Yeah, we got some good stuff, I think so.
Great, man.
Cool. But
thank you so much.
Yeah, you too.